introduce yourself.
Yeah, hey guys, my name's Sam from GOOICHIMOTORS.
All right, Sam. So, how do you pronounce your brand?
So it's Gooichi. So there's an I in there. Everyone says Gucci, but it's Gooichi.
And how was it started?
Basically like 15, 16 years ago. It's been maybe longer than that. We had a motorcycle club back in college. So we started with that, and then people wanted stuff done to their bikes, so we ended up doing stuff for people's bikes and got a shop space, and then just kept it from there.
I gotcha. What kind of bikes have you worked on?
A little bit of everything, man. Our shop's kind of known for just weird platforms, so we did a lot of like Ducati builds and a lot of just kind of one-off unique platforms that weren't kind of the norm.
Gotcha. So what made you transition from the 2 wheels into the 4 wheels?
Yeah, so I started this shop whenever I was in automotive college, so it was always kind of back and forth from cars to bikes. So once bikes started dying down, we started doing cars, and then back and forth. We still do both, actually.
Gotcha. So how was it formed? Was it formed just by your thoughts, where you had some buddies involved? Tell us about how was it formed?
Yeah, man. It was really just me. I mean, of course, I had a lot of guys kind of involved at the start, but it was something that I always wanted to do. The college I went to is more geared towards corporate life and dealership kind of stuff, but I was always into custom stuff. So I mean, that's the direction I wanted to go. Always wanted to shop, and then started it, like I said, in college, and then after I graduated, just kept it going.
Good. So we know what Gooichi's about. We know what you guys do. We know what you built in the past. Tell us what you guys do now, and what's the type of builds that comes out of Gooichi's Motorsports.
Yeah, so it kind of started with the bikes, where, like I said, we did unique platforms. So we never just bought stuff that was off the shelf. So we did a lot of the custom fabrication and the custom Ducati builds that nobody offered parts for. So it kind of transitioned. Back in the day, we did a lot of ground up builds for the shop. So like every year we tried to build a shop bike and then one up it the next year. So it kind of transitioned into the cars, where we kept the fit and finish that we did to the bike. So we make sure all the bolts are the right, colored right, and everything matches and flows and fits perfect. But we just kind of moved that detail work to the car scene. And then, since we did that, now we're in these cars where we're not just buying a Camaro and buying a bunch of parts from catalogs. We kind of kept with the uniqueness of it and worked with all the crazy different platforms. So we're not really like a Mopar shop or an import shop. We're kind of jump around and do a little bit of old and new and basically all over the place.
That's awesome. And so that kind of leads into my next question. I'm sure for the viewers, they'll want to know. Is this a shop where you build one-off builds? Is it a shop that somebody can bring like their project and say, "Hey Sam, I want you to get it finished"? What kind of expectations should customers expect when they bring their car for you to build?
Yeah, definitely. So we do a little bit of everything. I mean, we will do like intake exhausts, turbo parts, that kind of stuff. But we really specialize in the ground up builds. So a lot of the things we do, we start from a bare shell or a stock car, and meet with the customer, go back and forth, figure out a rendering of what they're looking for, set a budget, goals, and then do the whole thing from start to finish. So primarily I'd say what we do is ground up builds, whether it's full race builds or full show builds. That's kind of what we've targeted for sure. Gotcha.
Awesome. Now let's talk about some of the unique builds that you've done in the past few years, I should say. Let's start with the Challenger. Tell us about the Challenger. Rumors have it was the original Demon or Hellcat or something.
Yeah, it was the original Demon. So I back in 2010 was looking for a new car, and really back then there was nothing out that really got me excited. So I was trying to choose between something a couple years old, and the Challenger was pretty much it. So jumped off the import wagon and got into a Challenger and was like, this is a daily, I'm not going to do anything to it. And then like a few months after I bought it, like we're putting a cam in it and doing a bunch of stuff, and it just really snowballed from there. So yeah, it's pretty nuts. I mean, I know it's been on Hoonigans. It's been out there quite a bit. I know there'll be some B-roll of this thing shredding tires, I'm sure. yeah, it snowballed. I can't even explain it, man. I mean, you're talking like 1,400 horse, sequential, full back half, like the whole back of the car is tube chassis, carbon, everything. And yeah, we did, we worked with Liberty Walk and got a Liberty Walk kit for it. And then, yeah, shortly after that, like we got this Liberty Walk wide body Challenger, like the Demon came out. So I guarantee you there's some like Dodge engineer someplace or designer that's got like my car on their, you know, wallpaper, their computer, and they're getting all the credit for like, oh, let's do a wide body Challenger, and that'd be sick. But yeah, we joke around, it's like the original Demon, because man, now it's like if we take it out anywhere, it's like, oh, it's a sick Demon. It's like, no, it's a SRT8. It's just like base model shit from back in the day.
Gotcha. So we're gonna post some pictures of that build on screen. So can people expect that sort of level of quality from a car from Goichi? Yeah,
always, man. I mean, we've kind of been known for that with our fit and finish work. I think that's kind of what that's kind of kept us around. Is, you know, we build pretty crazy, unique builds, but they're not just show cars. I mean, they're all purpose built. That's kind of the whole point of what we build, is we shred tires and use them and have fun with them. So yeah, we take them to the level of making them nice and pretty, and they show well. And you know, a lot of people consider them show builds, but to us, they're purpose built.
Gotcha. So before we get into the elephant in the room and the beautiful car that's behind you, the main star of the show, a lot of people are calling that car the star of Goichi, right?
Yeah.
Before we get into that, what do you want your people who follow you on Instagram, people who follow you on social media, what do you want them to know what about Sam?
About Sam? Yeah, man. I mean, I guess we've been around. We've had the shop for like 15, 16 years, and we've been kind of in and out of social media over the years. And it's kind of crazy, especially with SEMA, this last trip. A lot of people are kind of new followers or new to the shop and don't really know our roots. So kind of goes back to what I said, man. I mean, everything we do is purpose built. We're gearing up for a good 2023 with this car and some of our other builds, and we're going to get them out there and start you know, hooning it and stuff. But just you know, let everybody know that, you know, just get ready, stay tuned for this thing. And then, you know, everything that we do is not a trophy piece. It's not something that we're going to let sit and look pretty. I mean, everything's kind of designed for a purpose, and, you know, fully intend to enjoy this stuff and not just let them sit and, you know, collect trophies for sure.
Gotcha. Now, to your friends and family, they know what Goichi is all about. To your average social media follower, we have to bring it back to social media, because everything wraps on social media nowadays: YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, etc., etc. What would you say Goichi is to them? Yeah,
I mean, I hope that, you know, we got a lot of cool content. We got a lot of cool stuff going on, and, you know, to us, everybody that helps out and works here, you know, they see it on a daily basis. And whenever we get, you know, customers in or new people coming into the shop, they kind of not go starstruck, but it's not like, this isn't something most people see. And for us, it's kind of the norm. So it's kind of cool to start filming more and getting more content out there and letting people see what we've got going on. And I just hope it's kind of turns into a cool, you know, platform with social media to kind of showcase what we do and get people excited about, you know, some builds that may be different than what they see on a daily basis, you know. And it's cool to get out there and start showing them off more. It's one of those things we want to do for a long time, and hopefully it kind of, you know, we're all just a bunch of dudes just wanting to build cool shit, and hopefully it translates to viewers and they get some enjoyment out of it. Gotcha.
So now we transition to the meats and potatoes of this whole entire video. You just came off a massive win at SEMA, I would say.
Yeah.
I believe you won the best. What was the title that you won?
Yeah, basically best show car, best in show out there.
Best in show. No, we all know that it's not a quote unquote show car showpiece. You build it to shred tires. But you just, like I said, you just came off of a massive high. What was your experience at SEMA?
Yeah, so to take it back, just to share a little bit of the history of the car. I've had this car for 16 years. When I bought it as a complete shell. It had like a roll cage in it and a fuel cell. And it was actually the Nitrous Express SEMA build in 01. So I bought it as a shell and built it, and it was just basically a nasty street car. And then we got the call in 17 to bring it to SEMA for with Autometer. So that was kind of the first time that it was like, went from the car being just something that's just shredding tires to, okay, let's clean it up. We got the first Rocket Bunny kit in the US for the car, did a turbo LS, like it made a ton of power. And we took it to SEMA, like I said, in 17, and it won the Super Street McGuire's Best in Show back in 17. So after that, I mean, that was huge. That was amazing. After that, we rebuilt the Challenger and took it. And then, this past year, it's like, what are we going to do with the RX-7? Let's kind of rebuild it and change it up a little bit. So we ended up doing what you see now. And it was by far the roughest SEMA experience we've ever had. I mean, SEMA for everybody is always crazy, last minute, no sleep. And this was like, it's always been like that, but this one was pretty tough, man. And we had a lot of guys helping out last few weeks, jumping in, wrenching on this thing, trying to get it together. A few mishaps with the bodywork that kind of slowed us up. So, we only had like 4 or 5 days to do what we could to get it there. So obviously it's not done. I know the internet's loving all the Bluetooth stuff on it. It kind of goes back to like SEMA wasn't an end goal for us. It was, we did a lot of work with this motor and we wanted to showcase it. Kaiza let us use his first kit with LTO for the FD, so we didn't want to let those guys down. So we brought what we thought showed well, and brought what we could, and then didn't expect anything of it. And yeah, we got the best in show or best show car from Radium and Pit and Paddock. So that was like beyond humbling, because it was one thing to get it the first time when we brought the car, and to bring the car 5 years later, the same car rebuilt, and get the same award. It was just humbling. I mean, the response was amazing. Everybody that saw it loved it, and social media went crazy with it. And it just solidified like all the hard work that everybody put in the car to get something like that, for sure.
Awesome. Now, there were some really cool RX-7s out there at SEMA. I've seen people put a bunch of comparisons to other RX-7s out there. What as a person, an individual that won the Best of Show SEMA, what is your take on the comparisons and the compare and contrasts to other RX-7s at SEMA? Yeah,
I mean, that's a tough one. So I guess the ultimate comparison at SEMA that we keep seeing is like, Rob Dom's car versus this. And it's like, even in my mind, like I don't compare mine to other people's cars. Like, I did what I wanted to do. Obviously it's a crazy color green and different from a lot of cars out there, no rotary, So like, I did what I was passionate about and what I wanted to see out of my car. And I know Rob did the same, and there's a bunch of other FDs there that were sick. So like, it's hard for me to judge and compare because there's such different builds. Obviously Rob's car is fucking amazing. You can bleep that out. Okay. So obviously Rob's car is amazing. Like, you can't, the level of dedication he's put into that car in the rotary community is undeniable. So like, I don't want to compare my car to his because they're on completely different playing fields for sure, But, we're building a 4-rotor, we're building a full billet twin turbo 4-rotor. So like, all the Dorito guys that are hating on it, like, it's all good. This car's been a piston motor for 16 years. It had an LS in it for 16 years. So I'm already past the rotary thing, and we're getting our fill for our 4-rotor. So I'm good on the rotary stuff. We got a lot of rotary stuff coming up here pretty soon. But yeah, as far as comparing it to other cars, I mean, I let everybody make their own judgment call on that. But yeah, for me, I'm just staying neutral, man. Everyone's car at SEMA that's an accomplishment just to go, period. So
well said. I totally agree with you on that one. So you mentioned it's a crazy color green, right?
Yeah.
The moniker of the car is PistachioFD, right? So we relate it to the color pistachio, like ice cream, right? That's my favorite thing. I love ice cream. So where did the color come about? A lot of people is in the comments on social media saying, "Hey, I want the paint code. Hey, I want the paint code." Is that something you want to divulge, or you want to keep it in the vault for Goichi, or give us and also give us a big rundown on how the color came about? Yeah,
so the car from the factory was black, and the guys that built it with Nitrous Express painted it red, which I don't understand because all of them are red. So like, the car was red when I got it, and it was red for a long time. And then when we built it for SEMA the first time, we did the Rock Bunny kit and wanted to choose a color. And it was one of those things where it's like you could paint it red or black or silver, and like not, you know, it was just going to blend in with all the other colors. So, or the other FDs that are out there. So I saw this color and I said, that's it, I'm doing it. It was pretty much like an instant decision as soon as I saw the color. And I had a lot of people that were like, no, don't do it that color. Like, it doesn't work, it doesn't fit, it's not like the right color to go with on like a race build, you know. So I did it, and it's pretty much been that color ever since. And it was one of those things where it kind of complements the build, it doesn't take away from it. It's not like a, you know, lime green color or something where that's all you're gonna see. It really just kind of tones down what it is. And at least in my mind, it kind of just accents the style of the build. You know, we take a lot of design cues from like all the Porsche guys, and you know, back when I was building this, I always wanted an RWB, and this was like the color scheme and kind of the direction I would go with one. So obviously I'm not on the Porsche level yet, but this is kind of like my Porsche build. So something really toned down that complements the high horsepower and the rawness of the build. So that's the history behind Pistachio for sure. But it's staying this color for life. It's not changing.
What's the paint code?
There's no paint code. It's custom mix. Don't worry about it.
All right. So you guys heard that. Quit asking about the color. So the battle online. Let's talk about the big battle online between, is it a Zonda engine or a Mercedes-Benz engine?
Yeah.
Crush that right now on this video right here at KITTEDINC. What's the shakedown?
Yeah, this is it, right? So this is a Mercedes M120 V12. So a few social media influencers posted that, you know, Zonda swap RX7, and of course everybody ran with it because, oh, it's not a Zonda, it's a Mercedes and all this stuff. So yeah, it is actually an M120 Mercedes engine. Pagani used it in the Zonda. They did. The first few years of the Pagani Zonda used literally a bone stock S600, SL600 Mercedes motor. And then, of course, they built it from there. Went from the 6-liter to the 7.3, and then the Zonda R back to a 6-liter. So it is a Mercedes motor, hands down. The Zonda motors, they're Mercedes motors. They're all AMG M120s. So it's a Mercedes motor.
Okay. And so it is a Mercedes engine. As far as the tech that goes for this engine, why did you choose it? And I know you had a previous LS setup that was making quite a lot of crazy horsepower. Mm-hmm. Why would you go ahead and ditch the LS, which is known for making power, and go into the Mercedes-Benz M120?
Yeah, so I'll give you guys a rundown of that whole transition. So 16 years ago, I bought this shell, and that was right before the LS craze where everyone was swapping it in FDs. It's kind of a funny story because it happened twice for us. So I had a shell, we were trying to figure out what motor to put in it. I didn't know anything about rotaries back then, so that wasn't really an option. We did a lot of piston motors and turbo stuff and turbo bikes. So, you know, we had an LS motor out of a customer car sitting in the shop at the time, and it was like, can we make it fit? You know, the original plan was a Viper swap. We're gonna do a V10, but just the size-wise, we were like, yeah, we don't really want to try to tackle that. So the LS fit in there, so we built the cross member, and it was one of the, I'm not gonna say the first, it's definitely not the first LS swapped FD, but it was one of the first from back then. And then obviously built it, made a ton of power, and now it's like, you know, Henson started making the kits, everybody started making the swap kits, and now it's the normal thing. So we took it to SEMA the first time. It had a 90 mil turbo, 408 stroker motor. Pretty serious LS build. I mean, it was like, you know, 1,200 horsepower on high boost, and 900 pretty much was where it was living most of its life. And we were gonna we took it to SEMA the first time, and it got all the exposure and attention. And when we were gonna take it again, it was like, well, what are we gonna do? You know, we were gonna run some aero on the car and change up the intake manifold and do a nice billet heat exchanger setup. But then it was like, well, cool, people are gonna look at it and say, you put a wing on it and, you know, it's the same car. So we sold the motor out and the car set, and we didn't really have a plan to take it back to SEMA. And the same thing happened. We were working on Jimbo from Savage Garage's S600. We did some equal length manifolds for his car. So instead of pulling the motor out of his car to build the headers, because it was a back and forth thing, we ended up finding a M120 motor. So we bought it, put it on the stand and use that for mock-up. So built the headers, then went back and forth between the car. And then after we're done with that, we're like, we got a V12 sitting here, like, what are we gonna do with it? And we're looking at the shell of this RX7, you know, second time around, it's like, let's make it fit. And I guess this time we got a little bit more knowledge and fabrication experience over the years. So we skipped the V10 and just went straight to the V12. So pretty much how it got in there. And then talking about the M120, so we ended up, through one of our friends, Steven, who kind of arranged the whole Jimbo thing. He's a huge Mercedes guy. Getting into this Mercedes game pretty heavy. I mean, it's a very small community. There's a handful of companies that we're all in a group chat together that are building stuff for these motors, but we found out very quickly that it is an amazing motor, but there's literally no aftermarket support for them. So like the LS, if you need a set of cams, you can buy, you know, cams from 50 different companies, and every country in the world is selling parts for these motors. Just pick what you want out of a catalog and go. And the M120 is not like that. I mean, you think about, it came in the S600 and the SL600 Mercedes in the 90s, and that's, you're talking a $140,000 car back then. The guys that are buying those cars for that motor aren't looking at their S600 big limo cruiser and thinking, oh, well, I'm gonna throw a set of cams and high compression piston, you know, and build it and do all this stuff. So like the aftermarket scene never was developed for them, besides what Pagani did. But obviously it's a whole other level of car, you know. So we looked at this motor and we realized there's a lot of stuff we needed to do the swap that wasn't available. So we started down that rabbit hole of just developing stuff for it. So, you know, do the motor plates, get the motor in the car. Okay, we need accessories. Well, we don't want all the factory stuff, so we eliminated all like the factory water pump and made, you know, billet blocks to run AN lines and electric water pump. And then we did the race alternator bracket, and we wanted to do a dry sump system, which was a big undertaking, but that saved like 6 inches off the bottom of the motor. So now we have our steering back. So we did a full dry sump billet pan and the brackets for that, and a coil unplug conversion. And we want to do ITBs. So like we literally went from a stock motor and started developing all the accessories on the outside of the motor to do basically a swap application. So now anybody can take this motor and put it in their 69 Camaro or their freaking, you know, 240. Like we basically have a full swap kit and everything you need to make it happen, including like a Haltech standalone harness. So that happened. And then obviously it goes into the motor work. So we started developing everything inside the motor. So a lot of people look at this motor and like, oh, it's just the S600. It's a, you know, junkyard boat motor for the old Mercedes, and it is. But we pushed this pretty far. So we went through and developed our own rods, our own pistons. The whole heads have been completely reworked. So we do full 5-axis CNC porting. We move the valves around. There are our own valves, our own retainers, our own springs. You know, we got billet cams now, so like we can spec out the whole motor. We flow tested the heads. Like it's a very, very heavily modified M120. So, you know, yeah, it is a Mercedes motor. It's not the Zonda motor, but from the specs of what we've done, like we're going after Zonda numbers. Like in my mind, if I don't beat the Zonda R motor as far as what it puts down on paper, like we've failed. And I think once we get it running and driving, like you guys, you'll be able to see kind of what it's actually going to do. But we don't have restrictions of emissions and reliability and everything that Zonda did, or that Pagani did. So nothing against Pagani and what they've done. It's an amazing motor, and I'm sure, you know, they got millions of dollars worth of development into it. But we're literally going at it from the aftermarket scene of how much compression can we do, how big of cams can we get, what can we do to make this as crazy as possible without, you know, we have no reservations of, is it going to idle okay, or is it we going to be able to drive around, you know, from A to B and not be a complete race car? And, you know, like it doesn't matter. Let's just send it and see what happens. So yeah, hopefully that answers your question.
Right.
Yeah.
So as far as you mentioned stuff as emissions, reliability, and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. What's your end goal with the Pistachio FD? Is it going to be a car trailered to the track? Is it going to be a car that can be driven to your local Cars and Coffee? Is it going to be streetable? Can you take it, say, from Loxahatchee to Naples? Is it something that's going to be yes, we all know all race cars and all heavy modified cars aren't the greatest to drive, but will that motor be able to say, hey, I want to do a 200-mile trip or do one of those expeditions where you have to drive your race car from track to track?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah, I think you said it. Like, any heavily modified car is always fun and has its quirks as far as daily driving. But at the same time, any car that you drive daily is technically a daily, whether it's a full-blown race car or not. So, you know, I've already written it off. I've got no interior. I've got door bars to climb over. Like, it's no AC, little sliding windows. So, yeah, is it a daily? Is it something you can daily drive? Yeah, you can. Is it comfortable? No, but that's not the point. You know, it's purpose built. It's just to have fun and shred tires in. So, yeah, motor reliability, we got no issues with that. The motor setup itself, we're 11.8 compression, running flex fuel, primarily M5 methanol. So, like, getting around and filling up is going to be fun, but since we're running flex fuel, it'll be E85 or straight methanol. So, like, it is doable. It's something we are going to drive to Cars and Coffee, are going to drive to events. The goal of the car is basically a track day car. So the car's always been something we've beat on, whether it's just drifting or a nasty street car. And we've gotten heavily into road racing recently. So this is kind of the version that we're going to end up road racing. So we've got full aero that's going on the car. The car's like this because of the Kaiser kit to debut his kit, but we do have full aero and clean it up with canards and all that stuff that are going on it. And then, yeah, we're just going to go out and just have fun with it. It's one of those cars that we didn't really build it for a particular class, but it's just going to be a straight track day car. So if we go do, you know, SCCA or NASA or, you know, any events with time attack, global time attack, grid life, it's something we could take out and have fun with, and it's not necessarily going to be in any class because of what we did. It's straight unlimited for the most part, so we're going to be kind of hopefully in the middle of the pack because you got guys that have dedicated their builds for that class. But hopefully with what we've done, we can at least go out and have fun with it, and that's really what it's about. We're not looking for trophies. We just want to go out and have some fun with the V12.
Nice.
Yeah. So
you did mention a bunch of in-house parts. Those are all built and handmade in-house at GOOICHI, right?
Yeah, CNC'd for the most part. Like, obviously the cams and the rods, things like that, we've outsourced to companies that handle that kind of stuff. But there are designs and our specifications. But yeah, all the billet work on the motor, the accessories, the harness, basically all that stuff's all stuff we've developed in-house, and we're building a catalog. So all that stuff here pretty soon will be available. From just part sales all the way up to, you know, people just want to sit their heads in to get their heads ported and work done, all the way up to full dress turnkey motors. So, you know, we've done a CD009 adapter for the transmission, so people can take this V12 and drop on a relatively cheap manual transmission to have a, you know, basically a cheap manual swap for any kind of platform. And like I said, we can basically build a full turnkey package, whether it's for boost or NA, anything from something mild to full race with all the accessories ready to fire up and throw in your car.
So this your build that's in your FD, it's an NA build, boost build. What are we doing? What are you doing with that motor?
Yeah, so this is like the blueprint recipe, just kind of get a baseline for kind of the top end of the spectrum. So it's an NA build. It's set up for basically 9,000 RPM, got a 15% safety window. So, you know, basically hitting the Zonda R numbers there. It's 11.8 compression, so high compression motor. We've developed a long rod setup for it. So not to get too technical, but the rod stroke ratio is like a 196 from like a 154. So sport bikes are all around a 2. So we're basically right at sport bike territory, so it should rev really quick and easily. We saved a ton of weight out of the bottom end. We saved about 5 pounds off just the rods and pistons alone. And then we were running an HGT sequential transmission behind it, so that's frees up a lot of rotational drag that you would see. You know, the standard automatics behind these motors are just complete dogs, and they rob a ton of power. So the thing should rev fast. The cam setup is ridiculous. Guarantee you these are the largest cams in any M120, even the Zondas. I'll put money on that. It's way too big, but we flow tested the heads and got the specs off of that, and we we match the cam to that, so it's going to be maximizing the setup we have. So we're just going to see what it does. We're shooting for, I'd say 850 to 1,000 NA out of it on M5 methanol. Like I said, 11.8 to 1 compression. So it's, we'll see what it's going to do. Like I said, this is kind of the baseline to see at the upper end of the spectrum with our heads and our cam profiles what it's going to be able to do. We're running they're Hayabusa throttle bodies, so these are just stock throttle body size. So we have options to go bigger to port them or billet throttle bodies. So we're going to run it with our production throttle bodies to kind of get some baseline numbers, and if we need to push it harder, we have options to go a little bit crazier with it. But yeah, that's it's going to be interesting. It's going to come on like a two-stroke, like a turbo car, like gonna be like 5,000 RPM. It's gonna be nothing till that, and then it's just gonna take off. So it's definitely a high-end, high RPM motor. So yeah, that kind of goes back to like daily driving it. I mean, unless you're like a twin turbo Lambo, like some of these guys are running, like you can't really have everything. You know, you can't really have a drag car or a track car. They're different. They're just different vehicles, you know. So this thing, it's set up for high end. It's set up to be in that power band. So once we get off the line and get going on the track, like where the RPM window it's going to live at is where it's going to be making power. So low end, it might be a little fun. It's going to idle like a freaking, I don't even know if I don't know what it's going to sound like. It's going to idle pretty rough and choppy, and then, you know, it's just going to scream. So it's going to be interesting to hear this thing for sure.
So you mentioned you don't know how it's going to sound like. Let's talk about exhaust.
Yeah.
From what I'm hearing, rumors has it you're going to do a full titanium.
Yeah.
Run us through the exhaust, how you're going to flow check the exhaust to find that nice tune, like something like the LF8 per se.
Yeah. I mean, obviously everyone's heard like F-Spot's car. They've heard these motors making the Pagani F1 style noises. So there's a lot of science and math involved into making that work. So what we did, because I mean F-Spot, you know, he's basically running a stock M120 and his car sounds amazing. So the length of the tubes and the primaries and the diameter and all that stuff, there's a lot that goes into that to building a tuned exhaust system for this motor and for any motor. So when we did Jimbo's car, we dabbled with that quite a bit to try to play with different exhaust configurations and primary links and all this stuff. The problem with his car is he had some motor issues, which we found out later. So we got it close, but it was never really quite there. So what we were able to do with this is, based on our cam profiles and the head data, we determined basically what the ideal length of the primary for the exhaust headers needed to be. So we basically built it full equal length. We did 6:1 3D printed collectors, which are killer, and then we broke the motor down in half. So each bank has a firing order. The whole motor's got a firing order, but we broke down one bank, and that firing order we rifled it into the collector. So when it hits going around in a circle to help scavenge everything. So there's a lot to figure out, but you know, with this exhaust system, with the cam setup we have, like it should be spot on or pretty close, and plus we got an extra 2,000 RPM out of the motor, so it should really scream. And then pretty much from the collectors back, yeah, we'll do full Tycon titanium exhaust. You know, everybody wants to just dump it and do that, but I'm gonna try to go as far back as I can with some big mufflers, so it'll still be straight through, it'll still be stupid loud, but give it as much engine tone as possible. It's not just obnoxious loud, but it's gonna scream for sure.
Yeah, with all that RPMs and NA for sure, you're gonna get the pure sound of that V12.
Yeah.
So we're here wrapping up the end of the video. Is there anything you want to mention to your followers or people who are watching this video? What takeaways do you want them to have after they've watched this video?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I just want to thank everybody. You know, like I mentioned earlier, there's been just an overwhelming response to the car, good and bad, all across the internet, man. So I mean, I want to thank everybody that's participated in that on both sides, because you know, it's if we don't at least piss off half the people, I feel like we're doing something wrong. But you know, it's all good publicity and good stuff. And for the people that are following it, that you know may think, oh, it's just a show car, it doesn't run. Like, you know, I encourage you guys to stay tuned and keep track of what we're doing, because you know, like I said, this thing's really gonna once we get it done and running, we're shooting for, February-ish, so a few months out. We're going to start doing ton of content. It's going to be out there. We'll hit up Hoonigans and TRC and, give Rob a call and see if we can go out and just do like a this versus that for the full rotor versus the V12, at least some sound noise, and I don't know. We'll see what we can do. But yeah, so basically just, I want to thank everybody for the response and the support and all the people that have followed us for the years that have seen this car progress. Just wanted to thank you guys for being a part of it, and yeah, just kind of stay tuned, really.
Cool. So we got one more question that's personal to you before we wrap up here. What drives Sam? What drives Sam to say, hey, let's turn on the lights at Goichi and let's go turn some wrenches? What gets you up in the morning?
Yeah, I guess in a nutshell, I just want to keep doing what makes me happy, man. I just want to keep building cool shit. That's really it, So whatever it takes. I mean, the shop, we've had it for, a long time, So it's never really been an easy road. It's always ups and downs and a roller coaster just to keep the doors open and keep going. But it's one of those things where I just want to keep doing what I want to do, and hopefully people can follow along and want to jump on board and be a part of it and be a part of some builds. And we got a lot of cool stuff coming for 2023, so really excited for that. But yeah, that's really it, man. I just want to keep doing me, really.
Awesome. Keep building cool shit. That sounds like it needs to be on a shirt somewhere.
Yeah, that'll work.
So where can people find your socials? You want to list out your socials on camera? Yeah.
So Instagram is just at GOOICHIMOTORS. It's the same on Facebook. We're definitely pushing Instagram way harder than Facebook. We have a YouTube channel. We've got a lot of content. It's just a matter of getting it edited and start pushing it. So definitely like and subscribe this KITTEDINC video, and then jump over to the GOOICHIMOTORS page and check out the videos we posted like 10 years ago. And just, definitely subscribe for that, because there will be new videos happening pretty heavily this year. So we do have, I'll plug some of our future builds. We've got a lot going on. We're heavily involved in this Mercedes V12 stuff, so we are building a pretty crazy BMW for SEMA next year that's getting a boosted V12. So that's kind of at the early stages. We're just kicking that off. So we're planning on doing a whole video log on that car. And then we've got Alex's Impossible RX7, which is a 4-rotor twin turbo build. And then a bunch of other crazy stuff in here too. So we're late to the party of YouTube, but we're filming a lot. We're getting a lot of content started. So hopefully here pretty soon you'll start seeing a lot more Goichi builds, not just building them and looking at them at a show, but actually shredding some tires. And got to get with Toyo and get some more tires for this car, because it's going to need them for sure.
Better late than never, right? That's what they say.
Yeah, for sure.
So who would you like to thank personally, not just their followers or your subscribers or people on social media? You want to go ahead and thank anybody or give a shout out to anybody personally on the channel? Yeah,
definitely. Sabrina, my girl, Yasil, Jason, Adam, Damien, everybody that's kind of helped out. Getting this together at the last minute, there was a lot of people involved, and I really can't even thank everybody. It was crazy. So everybody that supported the shop, especially in this past year, because it's been a little hectic. Beyond that, the companies that back this car, we try to keep it old school. We don't just go around and ask for free stuff. We use companies that have always backed us and supported us on every build. So a lot of times when you see one of our cars in the next car, they'll all have a Braille battery. They'll all have, Haltech. So definitely all the companies that backed us, Rogue Fabrication, we got Diode Dynamics that did the headlights, which are killer lights, stupid bright. Decubus did the wheels. He's killing it. It's actually a Mercedes wheel, so pretty cool to have them on a Mercedes powered car. And Haltech for the EMS system. Smart EFI guy who did the full mil-spec harness for us, that does all the wiring on all our builds and tuning. Momo for the seats and harnesses. Momo's been a big backer of us for years. Of course, Braille battery. We've been using them for 15 years as well. So I think, yeah, besides that, man, it's basically, you know, LTO and Kaiser for allowing us to use their kit and getting the first kit and debut our car, because it definitely set the car apart from the other FDs out there and pretty much all the other FD kits. It's an amazing kit. And then, yeah, BYC Designs for the mirrors and the aero work on the car, and HGT Precision for the sequential transmission. So I think that's it. I think that's good. I'm sure I'll be forgetting somebody, but yeah, everybody that helped us out and continues to support us, you know, thank you guys for sure.
Gotcha. I'm sure that we all, and when we give praise and give thanks, I'm sure we always forget somebody, but I'm sure we'll go ahead and list them in the description below, or pop them on the screen in the afterthought. That doesn't mean Sam forgot about you, right?
Yeah.
It's just it's in the pudding.
Yep.
But so that's it, guys. Thank you again for coming out. Sam, thanks again for hosting us here.
Yeah, thank you.
At your beautiful shop. You got a lot of cool builds here, a lot of cool stuff. I see we just got to see the Exabusa from SEMA, and we got to see the Challenger and the PistachioFD. Any other last words?
No, we're good.
Just to give you guys a heads up, the RX7 does have a carbon roof.
Yeah, it does.
All right, take it easy.
See ya.
Bye.
Cool.